Okay, so now we get into the types of hydrants there are. First, we'll talk about the dry barrel hydrants. Okay, does anybody know where we would see the dry barrel hydrants? Correct, where we are right now. Exactly, we're in St. Louis, Missouri. We get freezes, we get cold, it's unpredictable. So the dry barrel hydrants are used in freezing climates, okay? So when it's fully closed, this will go down, this will seal, and in this little drain hole right there, we'll let the water out, so there's nothing in this. This is an empty barrel right here. So everything's empty in that barrel. Why? So it doesn't freeze. This is below the frost line, this shouldn't freeze. So all this stuff here is empty, so it won't freeze. That's important because if there's water in here, any of this could freeze, this could freeze, all this stuff could freeze, and you won't be able to get water out, you won't be able to control it. So we definitely want to keep these in the freezing climate areas. Like I said, the water is only allowed in hydrant when the stem is up, when the stem nut's operated. Here you go, here's that stem nut up top that we talked about on the hydrant. You turn it, and there you go. There's your valve that seals it closed. Okay? We see them all the time. That's what we have here. That's mostly what we deal with. Wet barrel hydrants. So if we here are dealing with dry barrel hydrants, where would they be dealing with wet barrel hydrants? Yes, warmer climates. Because why? This is your barrel. This stays full all the time. So our barrel is staying full all the time. So you just turn this operating nut right here, and this goes back. It seals when it's closed, opens up, and you get water out. It's instantaneously. Water's out, water's out. There you go. But you can have water in there because it's not going to freeze. That barrel's not freezing. It's staying where it is, and it works really, really well. Arizona, San Diego, California, stuff like that. That's when you'll see a lot more of the wet barrel hydrants. Again, used in climates without prolonged periods of sub-freezing weather, which we do not have here. We could have periods where it's so just very, very simple. As long as you can see the parts of it right here where you open the water. And here's there's an automatic check valve on these things too. We'll go up and check valve if it needs to. Out of service hydrants. Every city, town, district has their own way of dealing with their hydrants and how they check them, how they maintain them. We here in our department will go out on a routine basis. Every house has their number of hydrants they go check when we go check fire hydrants. So what we do is we'll open them up, let them flow, make sure they're not covered with brush or anything in front of them like that, which is a very important thing too. We'll make sure they're functioning. We will measure them with a pitot gauge, a flow meter, to see how much water is flowing out of them, and then we will check them to make sure they seal up when we close them. If they are bad, right here, place an out of service tag on the device or the hydrant. So that's a very good thing. We will do that sometimes. We've done it in the past, and you come back a week later and the sign's gone, but it's very good to do that. We have a lot of notification systems that let the other crews and the department know that we have an out of service hydrant. So it goes to, the chief, it goes to the water department. So as soon as we find this, we'll type it in, the water department knows about it, and that way they can either deal with it now or whenever they're going to. Sometimes they'll get right on it, but if it's one that's completely not functioning, they will pretty much get on it as soon as they can. Again, notify the fire station personnel in the district, which is us, which is the other. If we're ever and anybody else is still and you find out, you let them know. The hydrant repair personnel is the water department, so that's who we let know that we need to know a hydrant. The last thing we want is to get there and no one said anything and you can't get water out of a hydrant. Okay, so here's some of the reasons that the hydrants could be out of service. You'll have damage to the hydrant, the water system, the piping or pump. We have old water systems here in our city. We sometimes have broken mains, broken offshoots, and so that will cause the damage to the hydrant. There could be repairs or upgrades performing on the water system, which again, we're an old system. They're always trying to repair or upgrade things, so that could be a big deal. Frozen hydrant, like we said, the frozen hydrant where you have the ice storm and the whole thing is covered, everything can be frozen in there. If it didn't drain through that drain hole and it froze up inside there, which is a possibility. That's why we want to check them. And then obstructions in the hydrant. Why we do our flow tests and why we run these hydrants routinely is to make sure that there's nothing in there. And if there is something in there, will know about it right away. These things aren't foolproof. It is possible for kids or residents to open them up and stick things in the hydrant and do silly things. It's not common, but it happens. I hate to find out that there was a bunch of stuff in the hydrant while we were trying to do a fire though, so it's good to do routine checks on them. Like I was saying, the stuff in front of it, like the brush, we do a lot of maintenance around them too, which is a good deal. So here we get to the fire hydrant connection tools. So here they are up here. You can see the picture of the hydrant wrench. There it goes on that stem, the nut right there. Here's our gate valve, which you attach to the nozzle side, which can let you have two different hose lines coming off. And which is good about these gate valves is because you put the gate valve on and you can shut each line if you needed to, or you can open whatever you needed to at the time. Here's your big steamer output, and here's your hydrant valve, so you can have it wherever you want, water coming out for your big LDH. Like I said, hydrant wrench. Here's a rubber mallet. Here's some spanner wrenches. Rubber mallet. Anybody know why you need a rubber mallet in the truck? Because I will tell you this, that rubber mallet is a very, very important piece of tools that you can use. So if it's stuck. So if you ever have something, these hydrant caps, when you put your wrench on there, if you can't get it off, if you have to hammer it with that rubber mallet, it shouldn't break anything, but it'll just loosen it with that mallet. They come in so handy, and when things are stuck on and things stuck up, they're great. Here we go with our spanner wrenches. Okay, so if you see these spanner wrenches here, I think everyone's used to spanner wrenches here. Clip them on the side of the hoses, right? We got the couplings. You tighten them on, and you tighten. You tighten the hose, and then conversely, you will loosen the hose. So these come in handy if you're an engineer on road. You see, I got 4 sections of hose out there, and it's just spraying water out because when they put the hose together, they didn't put together really tight. You can go up and you can tighten these to get the water, so you don't want water spraying all over the yards and everywhere. You want to go through the hose. So very important, these spanner wrenches. One of our most important tools as an engineer. This is your hydrant wrench, okay? This hydrant wrench will do multiple things. You can get on there, you can open the hydrant with this. The hydrant valves are the couplings on here. You can open them right there and there. And see this little nub right here, like I was telling you, you can hit that with the mallet, that'll open that up. Your hydrant wrench tightens like this. Turn this, it'll tighten this around your stem nut. And you do it, and then you open that hydrant or close that hydrant, okay? We'll talk about it in a little bit, but you wanna always close those hydrants very slow. Close those hydrants very, very slow because we don't want to get water hammer. But it loosens the same way. These things are important to check and inspect all the time. We put WD-40, like some of the silicone stuff in there. You put WD-40 in here to keep them really loose so you can get it on the thing and on the nut and take it off. Very good. Because I do see some people don't take good care of these. They'll throw them and stuff. It's a very important piece of equipment. If it's not functioning when you get to a fire, you're going to be SOL when you try to open a hydrant. So very, very important piece of equipment. Your hydrant wrench. Again, it's routine inspections because sometimes they get rusty. Okay, so here's some hose clamps. We don't use hose clamps very often, I'm going to be honest. But they do exist, and if you come across them on some scenes, some departments do still use. I have actually seen a department use something similar to the press down clamp. If you need to shut off a line, but you don't want to shut the truck down for some reason, not a great idea, but people still do it. So here's your screw down clamp. Very, very simple and self-explanatory. You put the hose under the clamp, you just screw it down, and it flattens that hose and stops the water from going through. The hydraulic press is the same thing. You put it in, and it just hydraulically goes down. Again, not the best. I think they can be dangerous, but if you have to, you have to. And here's our press down. I think this is what we had on some of our trucks at some point. We don't really carry them too much anymore. But that press down clamp, you literally slide it under, and you'll just press it down. And it'll stop. You can do whatever you need to do at the end of the hose, fix it, add some lines, whatever you gotta do, and then let it up, and then you can continue to flow water. And here's your wildland ones too. Different one that we don't really deal with, but it's just another type of clamp. Okay, So this is a very important thing. Never stand over the handle of a hose clamp when applying or releasing it. The handle or frame may pop open and swing violently upward. I can't stress this enough, and I think this is one of the reasons that you don't see them too much anymore, because they're extremely dangerous, and we hear horror stories all the time about trying to clamp or getting over top of it. If that thing flips up and hits you, you're going to wish it didn't. I mean, it'll break your wrist, it'll break your arm, your knee. Very important, very important. Stay away from them. Okay, review question. What tools are used to make hydrant connections? Yep, very, very good. Okay, so just simple ones right here. Just your rubber mallet and you got to turn it on. You get your open. If you need to open it with a mallet, you turn it on with your hydrant wrench. Very good. Very, very good. Okay. What types of fire hydrants are common in our jurisdiction? Bingo. That is right. That is our dry barrel hydrants. Okay. Firefighters must know how to operate hydrants to provide water through the hoses for fire suppression, to flow water from discharge opening to flush the sediment, which is why we do, like I said, every time you open that, go to flow water, you run it first. Open it up, flush the water, shut it down, and then go. We do not want sediment going into the tank. Perform periodic inspections, which we do. We ensure the proper operation of valves and caps, and we assist in the flow test. Very important. Very, like I said, we do this routinely. We have our set group of hydrants that we do, and it should be the same every time. Okay, considerations for wet and dry barrel hydrants. Open, this is again very important. Open and close hydrants slowly to prevent damage and injury. I think they say it's you want to open it for 30 seconds all the way open, or 2 minutes all the way open if you're going as slow as you possibly go. On a fire scene, sometimes you don't have that much time, but you want to go as slow as possible to prevent water hammer. So water hammer is very dangerous, especially with these old mains that we have in this town. So whether you're opening a hydrant or shutting a hydrant, especially shutting a hydrant, you need to go very, very slow, because if you open it really fast, you can break it, and it's not going to do us any good if we can't get water out. Okay, hold on one second.